everyone, I hope you're all okay. So this afternoon we are going to be scientists and we are going to be carrying on thinking about trees and we're going to introduce some plants this afternoon. But first of all, I want us to look at the learning that we have already been doing. So I have got up here evergreen trees. Can you remember what an evergreen tree is? It is a tree that stays green all year round. It doesn't lose its leaves in the autumn. It keeps its leaves all year. And here's some examples: a pine tree and a spruce tree. And then we've got the deciduous trees. They are the trees that lose their leaves in the winter. Their leaves change colour and they drop off and they die in the winter. And examples of these trees are an apple tree and an oak tree. And then also you've been thinking about labelling the parts of a plant and a tree. So we've got the things that are under the ground in the soil that collects up all the water from the soil is the roots. And then we've got on a tree, we have the big thick trunk that sucks up all the water, and on a flower it's called a stem. And then you've got the leaves on a tree and a plant that make the food for them to eat. And then on a plant you've got the flower that attracts all the bees, and the flower on a tree as well. And then also on a tree you've got a branch that come off the trunk, and then these ones have also got fruit on them. So we've been learning about the trees. So an apple tree, a deciduous tree, has apples on it as a fruit. And then when you was in school before Christmas, you learnt all about materials. You learnt about different types of materials. So we've got metal, we've got glass, we've got plastic, we've got rubber. Maybe you could tell a fact to your mummies and daddies about something that you learnt about materials. What's glass like? Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it transparent? And what's plastic like? Can you name something that's made of plastic? Have a think and try and remember. So now we're going to move on to the new learning. So let's have a look at what our learning challenge is. And it is, can you identify, so can you know and talk about them, the names of a range of common plants. So on here I've got some common plants that you will see in your garden. So the first one is called a daisy. And now you often see daisies in the grass. They grow all over the grass and they are white with a yellow centre. And then we've got a lily. Now lilies come in lots of different colours and they've got long petals on their flowers. A sunflower is the one that grows really tall, and it's got yellow petals. And then down here we've got a poppy. Now a poppy is something that we use to remember all the soldiers in the war from Remembrance Day. So that's the symbol that we use for Remembrance Day, and poppies are red. And then here we've got a rose flower, and they come in lots and lots of different colours too. But we mainly think about a rose and we think about red roses that we use for Valentine's Day. So they are a range of common plants that you would find in your garden. So we need to remember and think about how we identify each one. And then we're going to move on to identifying and naming a range of common trees as well. So I've got a few trees on here that you've been learning about whether they're deciduous or evergreen. But you also need to know the names of them. Now with trees, you can often identify and know which one they are by using their leaves, because they've all got individual leaves and they're all different. But when you think about that, you need to get up close to a tree to recognise the leaves. But for now, this big tree here is called an oak tree. This one, which a lot of you have been enjoying learning about because it's a Christmas tree, is called a fir tree, and that's got thin spiky leaves. An apple tree is quite often, you can identify that quite easily because it's got the fruit of apples on it. And then the maple tree is this big one over here that's looking Nice and pretty, a bit autumnal as its leaves are starting to change. So that's how we would recognise a tree, is by its leaves, and you have to get up close. So these are a few common trees that you would see around maybe in your garden. We've got some in school, and maybe if you go for a walk you might be able to identify a few of these trees. So now we're going to do a quiz and see if you can remember which leaves and plants we have talked about. So the first one we're going to do is a plant quiz. So we've got poppy, lily and a rose. So can you talk to your mummies and daddies? Maybe you want to pause it and have a talk about which one's which, and then we're going to do it together. So let's think back to about a poppy. Now a poppy is something that we remember all of those soldiers on Remembrance Day, and a poppy is red. And this one looks a bit red, but that one's got long petals, and I remember that was called something else. And this one is a red one. So I think this one is a poppy. Do you agree? I'm going to link that one to the poppy. Now the next one is a lily. Can you remember what I said about the lily? It's got long petals on its flowers and it comes in lots and different colours. But this one is our lily. And then the last one, we've got one left. That must be our rose flower that we think about on Valentine's Day, often come in red. So, well done if you got those right, super. And then the next one is a trees quiz. Now we've got a fir tree, an apple tree and a maple tree. Now you might want to pause it again and have a discussion about which one you think is which, and then we'll do it together. So the first one is a fir tree. Fir tree. Now I remember that one because I remember that's a Christmas tree. That's how I remember that. It looks like a Christmas tree, and that is this one. So let's draw a picture, draw a line to the fir tree. Now the next one, apple tree, they're quite easy to identify because they've got the fruits on them, and I can see that one has got apples on. That's going to be our apple tree, a deciduous tree. And then there's one left. Must be the maple tree. It's a deciduous tree, its leaves are starting to turn orange already. Right, that's it. Your activities are on Seesaw for you to complete. Can't wait to see what you do. Bye.